Today's video is about tangent circles with the example of 3 equal circles within a larger circle, all tangent to each other, and the link between this shape and those shapes as well. But first, welcome to this channel. My name is Lucie Rose. I'm a painter and a geometer, and I also do research about the geometry of Gothic rose windows. And I teach geometry online and in person. You can check out my website in the description to know more about it. And you can also sign up for the newsletter to keep updated about the courses. So what does it mean to be tangent? It's when 2 curves or a curve and a line touch each other in only one specific point, like here. So we have 2 curves and they touch each other only in one intersection, and here curve and a line. They don't overlap, otherwise there would be 2 intersections in each cases. And why is it important in motif and ornamentation? It's because those tangent points give you a fluidity of the line. So for example, here I have those 2 curves that are tangent, and if I choose only a portion of each, I can see how they melt into each other, and it's a very fluid curve. There's no like break in the line where they connect. So for today's motif, for those who have done courses with me before, we're going to use a new way of doing this, new to me anyways, because there's like a classical way of doing this, like a method that would apply to any number of circles. This process would give you like 3, 4, 5, 6 tangent circles within a larger circle. And this other method involves a triangle and bisectors and things like this, but we're going to use a simpler method. But if you do want to know about the triangle and the bisectors and etc., let me know in the comments, and we might do another video about that later. And just a note of warning before we actually start drawing, I found this method by playing around with my compass and looking at different images. I'm not saying I invented the method, maybe someone came up with it before. I've just not seen it anywhere else. So I do not know if it's 100% mathematically correct. Math people, please do let us know in the comment if it is or if it isn't. But for the purpose of drawing motif by hand with a compass and a ruler, it works for me. And we can also talk later about the relevance of mathematical accuracy when we are drawing ornamental geometry. So we're going to start. Do grab a compass, a ruler, a piece of paper, and let's get drawing. So here I have a piece of paper. It's an A4 format, so that's a European standard. It's almost 30 centimeters by 21, but it doesn't matter which format you use. This is a very simple shape, so it's not going to be a big deal. Just get a piece of paper, a compass, a ruler, some pens or pencils. I have another video explaining about materials. I'm going to link it up here if you want to check it out. And first I'm going to start with a vertical line, a vertical axis to center my drawing. So you can place it wherever you want on your paper, where you want your shape to be. In this case, I'm going to place it right in the center of my paper. So I measure the middle of my line up here. So I center my ruler because it's almost 30 centimeters, and I mark at 15. Same down here. And then I link them to trace my vertical axis. There we go, and then we also are going to mark the center of that line to place the circle. So here my paper is 21, so I mark at 10.5. And I'm going to use 8 centimeters radius. So this is just a random measure to have the circle, the largest circle, fit on the paper. You can pick a different measure. As I was saying, it's not a very complicated drawing, so it could be a lot smaller. So roughly 8 centimeters, here we go. And I'm going to draw my initial circle from the center I marked just before, placing the compass carefully really on the line and drawing the circle. Then we're going to divide this circle in 6 from the vertical line. If you want more details or in depth about this 6-fold division, you can have a look at this other video that I'm going to link up here. but just keep the radius of the circle on your compass and place your compass point where the vertical line intersects with the circle and mark on the circumference left and right, just like this. And do the same thing at the top here on the intersection as well. And mark on each side. And to be sure your division is exact, you can always check by placing the compass again on one of the intersections on the side and seeing if it crosses the other one exactly on the circle. Once you have this, you can take the ruler again and draw the symmetry axis. So you're linking opposite points on the circle going through the center. So you have three points to align. And you can draw your axes. Here we are. We have a circle which is divided in 6 equal parts, and from there we are going to draw some curves that are going to show us where to place the centers of our 3 tangent circles. So I'm changing color, you don't have to, but this is marking my construction lines with this pink color. And here to orientate my 3 tangent circles, I want one to be on the top here and the others to be down there. So just like here, I'm going to start from the intersection at the top here. So I place my compass point here, and then I'm going to open my compass more until I reach the intersection down left and down right. It's going to be the same measure. So I'm linking, I'm skipping one point on the circle. I'm linking from here, skip one to the second one. And check that your measure is the same on each side, that your compass is placed correctly, and then draw the arc linking the two, like this. And then go from each of the intersection that you've linked with the curve, and it should be the same measure to here and here. And draw the new curve here, and then the same from this last point. And the next step will be to start now from where the arcs are cut by the symmetry axis and do the same. So from this point to on the other arcs where they're cut by the symmetry axis, I get this new measure on my compass right here. Check that it's, it's the same measure on each side and that your compass point is placed correctly, and then draw the arc. And then from each of the middle of the arcs of our first shape, like this, place the compass point and draw the opposite arc until you get again this sort of rounded triangular shape, this time pointing down. First time was pointing up. And now that we have this, we have these intersections of the smallest rounded triangle inside where the arcs are cut by the symmetry axis. These are going to be the centers for our 3 tangent circles. So I'm going to put this new color in my compass because these are final lines. And so my center is here, and my radius is to where the symmetry axis here cuts the circle up here at the top. And before actually drawing that circle, do check that it is tangent to the symmetry axis over there. You might need to adjust a little bit depending on how accurate you were in the steps before. Tangent circles are a little bit unforgiving, meaning that if you're not super precise, then they might not be exactly tangent, or it might be harder to get them exactly tangent, but it's a habit and you get into it. So this seems to be okay. And it's really a matter of how you place the compass point and then figuring the radius that is going to give you the circle that goes through this point and is tangent to those two axes. And it should be the same measure on each of the other centers. Just do check before tracing again that your measure is tangent everywhere you need it to, and then go ahead and trace. To be transparent, I tend to adjust every time to have the correct center and everything, because I'm more interested on the tangent being exact than the measure being the same everywhere. And here, all right, and go ahead and trace. And now we have the 3 little tangent circles, just like here. To make it more obvious, I'm going to go over the largest circle with the same color as well. Like this. And you could also trace the final motif over a tracing paper to have it different from this layer of construction line, or obviously if you draw on the tracing paper with pencil, you can use that to transfer on a different piece of paper. But before I place the tracing paper on top of this, I'm going to show you one last thing, which is going to help us go from this to these, which is to know where the exact tangent point between the circles are, because that's going to tell us where we change from one curve to another. You could just sort of estimate it, but if you want a clear indication, what you have to do is link up the centers of the 2 tangent circles. So in this case, I have those 2 circles that are tangent. I link their centers, and so from here to here, and I mark where that cuts between the 2 circles. And if I was to draw the full line, it would be like this, but you really want just the intersection. And same down here, you link up the 2 centers and you find where that cuts on the circles. And again, you could draw the line, but you don't have to. And finally here, and it gives you kind of a triangle if you draw the line, but again, just intersections are enough. And these are the exact tangent points between each circle. So how does this relate to the other shapes that I showed you right here? I'm going to place a tracing paper, so I'm taking this A4 same format page, but I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller so it's easier to tape it to my page. And I'm going to use some masking tape here so it doesn't rip my paper when I take it off. And just a little piece on each opposite corner like this is enough to stick your tracing paper down. And then I'm taking thicker, darker color here. Just be careful, the specific pens from Stabilo, they do take some time to dry on the tracing paper, and it can cause bleeding. So be careful with felt tips and ink on tracing paper. If you're using waterproof markers or pens, you shouldn't have much of an issue, but just be careful. So first I'm going over my largest circle, just like this. And then if I want to do this triskel shape, so a triskel is just a name for those sort of 3 spirals coming from one center, which is a Celtic motif. If you look Triskell online, you'll find lots of these different shapes, from the center and it goes into 3 spirals. So it's not exactly the same shape, but it's a similar idea. And the triskels can be traced from starting from these 3 tangent circles. So I'm going to start on my top circle here. I place the compass point on its center and I go back to the radius I used to draw the circle. And I'm going to go clockwise, just like here. So I start going to my right and down. And when I hit the first tangent point here, I keep going until the second one. So I'm basically cutting through my triangle in the center, but I stop here, right? And then I go to this next circle, clockwise again. I start from the outer circle and I go clockwise. And I hit the first tangent point and I keep going until I meet the next one. And you see how it creates this curve merging into this one, and this tear or drop shapes, very characteristic of Gothic ornamentation forming. And you carry on the same process on the last circle. Place the compass in the center, then start from the outer circle, go clockwise inwards, and first tangent point, stop to the second one inside the triangle, and you get this shape. So this is how those specific tangent points are giving us where to stop and start to use different sections of the curves to draw different motifs. So this is where this is how you would go about also drawing these other shapes here. And we'll see them in a second in some examples of Gothic architecture, but these are all ends on the tangent points. And here use this portion of the circle, and here use this portion of the circle for the top circle, but then a different one for the 2 other down here. So this is how you go from this drawing to these. You can experiment, you can place different you can take off this piece of tracing paper, put another one, and try the other shapes. And now that you know how to draw this, here are some examples of how it can be used in Gothic ornamentation. So here we have the Rose of Saint Paul in Lyon. It's a small church. And so first we have 6 larger tangent circles, but you can see within each of those larger circles, sort of the petals, we have the shapes that we have just seen. So with the 2 portion of circles forming a tear or a drop shape going towards the center in this case, and one going towards the outside of the circle. So you can see how it can be used with adding more details in a Gothic building. Then, so this is the Gothic cathedral in Lyon. It's Saint-Jean, so it's dedicated to Saint John the Baptist. And it has a very beautiful rose and other little details. So for example here you can see this is an example of a trefoil, so a little shape with 3 leaves that is using 3 tangent circles, just like we've seen. Then we have this beautiful rose window, which is also again using the 3 tangent circles within each larger petal, even if on this one there's a little twist for the circle here. It's not exactly, it's a bit of a different thing, but the general idea is the same as the one we saw for Saint Paul. And if, for example, you would like to learn how to draw this rose, I have also a course with a simplified version and an advanced version. It's on my website. You can go and check it out. The link will be in the description. And it's a series. You also have the Rose of Saint Paul that you saw before, and the Rose of Saint Bonaventure, which is this one. So that's it for today. Let me know what you thought about this method and if you had seen it before, and see you in the next video.